Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Warwick Rock's Food and Film Festival. Lots of demonstrations going on throughout the day. The next one is for the sweet-toothed people. Jenny from Sweet as Cakes. Give her a huge round of applause and welcome her to the stage. Jenny is going to tell us later on about some of the rather impressive people that she's cooked for in the past, or baked for, should we say. But today, Jenny, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be making.
I'm going to make some really simple chocolate truffles that are just perfect for a dinner party or presents. But as you see, it only takes about 15-20 minutes, so simple.
Guys, if you've got any questions throughout, just stick your hand up. I'll come down and bring the mic. That's what it's all about. It's about doing this at home yourself. Is there any specialist ingredients or can anybody do this? Is it quite simple?
Anyone can do it. The chocolate that we're using is a Belgian chocolate, and it's already in Colette, so this is how we would use it in the kitchen. But you can buy chocolate from Tesco's or Sainsbury's, as long as it's a good quality one, not a big brand name that's not got very much chocolate in it, but something that's got at least 50% cocoa solids is a good chocolate to use.
The chocolate that you've got in the bowl here is like a Buttons chocolate. Is that easier is the reason of that so it's easier to melt in the pan?
Exactly, yeah. So we probably get through about 60 to 70 kilos of this a week. So if you imagine having to chop that amount of chocolate, it just really saves time for us. And this one is a Belgian chocolate, and it's a 53% cocoa solids.
But it doesn't matter if you're buying this in the supermarket. Can you get hold of that in the supermarket?
You can't get hold of this in the supermarket. You can get hold of it online. It's called Calabal, and it's a Belgian make. But some of the finest ranges in Tesco's and Sainsbury's are just as good, really. So I'm going to start with ganache, which is a basis for the truffles, but it's also what we use in the middle of our cakes. So we specialise in chocolate cakes, and I believe that a chocolate cake should be as chocolatey as possible. It shouldn't be full of buttercream or anything like that. It should be a real chocolate hit. So this is why we put pure chocolate rather than cocoa powder into our cakes. So this is the base for the truffles. It's double cream in here, and it's equal quantities of double cream and chocolate. And I've just brought that cream up to the boil, and I'm going to pour it over this chocolate, and the heat in the cream is going to melt the chocolate.
That's enough to completely melt it?
Exactly, yeah. It looks like it's not going to work, it looks like it's going to split, but I've made kilos and kilos and kilos of this in my time, and I know that you just keep stirring and you can see that really glossy, lovely consistency coming through already. Can you see that on the screen? No. I'm in the wrong place.
For your business, when you're making cakes, are you making mass batches of cakes, or is it a hands-on sort of process?
So the kitchen is based in our Leamington shop, and there's 3 of us in the kitchen, so it's real labour of love. You know, I've got chocolate running through my veins, quite literally, yeah, we're all in the shop. You can come in, you can see us all working. We're not hidden, you know, it's all very honest. We have local free-range eggs, all good quality ingredients. So you can see now that's the chocolate's completely melted, and it's really smooth and glossy. You see that on there? And I'm just going to pour that. The ideal thing for this is that you leave that for a couple of hours to overnight, just to really set up. And here's one I made earlier.
The classic
there
line.
There we
go. If people want to do something like this at home, where's the best place to go and find the recipes and to get the advice? And do you do it from cookbooks, or you were saying earlier about a lot of recipes use cocoa and you use pure chocolate in that. If people want to do that, where can they find these recipes?
Well, we send out a newsletter which has got loads of recipes on it, and so you can subscribe to our newsletter. But also, this is a ganache, so just Google ganache for truffles.
The classic Google.
It's on there, yeah. Can't do without it now. Now we've got it. So this is set in the fridge overnight, and you can see it's really a great temperature and a great consistency to just roll it into truffles like this. So I'm just going to roll a few of these. You can also add flavours, so if you wanted to add some orange zest or You could make some coffee liqueur truffles.
Would you have to add the flavour to the mixture before you put it in the oven, before you put it in the fridge and set it?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and it's also to taste as well. So the flavour will intensify the longer you leave it. So if you leave it overnight, it will definitely intensify. So if you just bear that in mind. But you could put liqueurs into it as well. Baileys, that'd go well.
So while you're rolling those out, your shop's Sweeters Cakes in Leamington Spa.
Yes.
Lots of local people go in there, and for different occasions they can buy cakes, they can order cakes for different types of things.
Exactly.
Just tell us about a few of the rather unusual clientele you've had over the last couple of years.
Oh, unusual. I don't know. Everyone that we have in is just really lovely. You know, we've got a great shop with great people working with us, so we don't have that many unusual people in, and everybody that comes in is coming in for a treat, so you know, they're really embracing what we do, and local people have really supported us, so that's so important.
When I was thinking of unusual, I was thinking of certain royal clientele. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, started the business in 2005, but a year later started business with help from the Prince's Trust, and a year later we did a cake for Charles and Camilla for their first wedding anniversary. So he hasn't actually been into the shop, but he has had a sweet as creation. So. And
when you're making a cake for royalty, is there certain criteria that you have to meet? Do they come down, they have somebody that has to taste it before it goes over there, or they have to monitor the process?
No, you have to have a few sleepless nights while you're thinking about the design. The design was actually something that we created especially for them. It's our signature cake, but there was no one kind of policing what we were doing, luckily, and so we just got real free rein to do it, and then took it down to Clarence House the morning, and it was flown up to Balmoral that evening for them to enjoy with the family.
Is that the first cake that's been flown somewhere to its destination?
I think it might. No, we did a wedding cake in Cyprus, and they took that on, but it's probably the most high profile one. Okay, so I've rolled all these truffles. Because it's nice and cool today, it's a really great temperature. If it's a bit warmer, then what I would do is just stick them in the fridge for an hour or so.
If somebody wants to make these, say they've got some people coming around in the evening, do you have to leave it for 2 days, or could you start in the morning and have it ready for dinner in the evening?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the minimum time you can leave it in the fridge for?
Minimum time I'd say for the ganache is an hour, and then once the ganache is set, you can roll them, and then so the whole process probably a couple of hours.
But you're saying the flavour would be better if you left it overnight?
Yeah, but you would just add a little bit more. So if you were doing, say, 1 orange zest and leaving it overnight, you'd do 2 if you're going to eat it within the hour or a couple of hours. So I've just melted this chocolate in here. You don't need to use a bain-marie. I've just used that because we haven't got a microwave. Generally, we melt most of our chocolate in the shop with a microwave, and people would go, you know, burning chocolate, but
so you put it in a microwave-proof bowl, the
yes.
drops,
yeah.
And then you literally just on full power on a bit
20 seconds at a time, just keep giving it a stir, and just don't overdo it, because burning chocolate is quite a smell. Okay, so I'm just gonna, this is the messy bit that is great fun here. I'm just going to roll these in chocolate, so you do need gloves, or you can just lick your fingers after. And these look really professional as well, as long as you've got them at the right temperature, you know, you've got them not too soft, then they look like someone special's made them.
And so, you're being quite rough with those there. You're not being super delicate with it, you just dunk them in, and then once they're on the tray, that chocolate will naturally set itself and create a nice coating. Exactly. And it doesn't matter if you get mess all over here, because you're going to transfer them onto...
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Hopefully these, as soon as they're set, people get to try them, so they won't be hanging around for long.
It was worth turning out for. There's good chocolate going around, this is a good thing. Has anybody got any questions while we're in the middle of coating them? All pretty self-explanatory.
Just waiting for chocolate.
Yes, there's one question, I'll come down.
Would you coat them with anything different other than just the plain chocolate?
Yes, I was going to say you dip them in chocolate first, and then you could use a Malibu or a coconut liqueur in the ganache, and then put some toasted coconut on the top, or ground hazelnuts, anything really that's small enough to kind of keep its shape. Ground hazelnuts are really nice. Just blitz them up in the blitzer.
Questions? Any more questions while we're down here? Okay.
So I've rolled all those. I'm going to put a few of them into cocoa powder as well, just to add a little bit more bitterness. And
once you've coated them in cocoa powder, are they easier to handle, or are these going to set? Once they're set
yeah,
pretty quickly?
Exactly. They'll set fairly quickly.
That's me.
So I'm just going to stick a couple in here, and this just adds, if you like really dark chocolate, it just adds a little bit of bitterness, and it does actually look quite nice as well.
And then once you've done this, and would you, if you were doing these, would you coat them all, or do you think some people prefer the flavour without the bitterness on the outside?
Yeah, some people prefer the flavour without, and you can also use milk chocolate or white chocolate as well.
What, so maybe half and half, and then dot them around?
Yeah. Yeah, I think chocolate is so personal. It's a bit like coffee, you know. Some people like latte, some people like espresso. It's this sort of strength of it. And there's a lot of people that like chocolate and talk about chocolate, and can be a little bit kind of exclusive. So if you don't like 70%, then you don't like chocolate. And I just think that's so, you know, it's just not true. Yeah. It's really about enjoying chocolate and the different brands and the different flavours that you get.
Now, once these are made, obviously you can serve them on the evening if you're having a party or something, but if you wanted to maybe give them as a gift to somebody, if you wanted to wrap these up, how long would they keep for, or could you wrap them up? Is that something you can do to give them to somebody?
Yeah, you can get some really great gift boxes in Clinton Cards and places like that you could stick them into, and they're good for about 10 days, so a nice Christmas gift. A lot of people make them for Christmas gifts.
If you're super organised in the build-up.
Yeah, if you're super organised and you're not too busy wrapping presents, but it's such a lovely gift. It's something that you've made yourself.
And if you are having them at home, what's a good idea on how to sort of display them, how to show them, how to hand them out?
I would put them on a crisp white plate, so you've got the dark and the white, and then just serve them. They don't hang around very long, so.
So use a base to start with, get all the muck on there, and then once they're done,
and then transfer them off.
And how quickly will these set, these chocolate bits?
These will probably be set in the next couple of minutes, so they'll be ready to try.
I think people are definitely ready to put those to try. So back at the shop in Leamington, there's a lot of cake making that goes on there as well. People that are doing things to tailor, but what's the sort of the bread and butter? What's the mainstay of the cakes? Do you have like a base cake that you go to, and you start from there to build things like wedding cakes or birthday cakes, or? Yeah,
so we specialise in chocolate cakes, and very early on when I started the business, I developed the recipe so that it was a really nice chocolatey, moist cake that would be perfect for whether you're tiering it up into a 7-tier cake or it's just going to be a 1-tier cake, but that's the sort of specialist.
So when you're making that original mixture, have you got any real tips for people, where people make the main mistakes when they are baking?
I think it's using the right ingredients, making sure that you're weighing. It's crucial. With cooking you can kind of chuck in and test the flavours, whereas
very accurate.
You have to be accurate. Yeah, baking is more of a science, whereas cooking is more of, kind of chuck this in and see how it tastes. Whereas you can't do that with baking. You've got to be very precise. So having the right ingredients, making sure it's weighed, and just making sure that your oven's at the right kind of temperature. If you've got an oven that's a bit funny, maybe using the middle or the bottom so that it's not burning on the top, and just making sure you're kind of keeping an eye on it. So you might put it in for 20 minutes, but just make sure you've got a good eye on it so it's not burning.
So how far off do we think these now before they're ready to taste?
I reckon these are probably going to be okay to taste now.
Okay, then we got any volunteers that would like to come and try these out? I'm sure there's quite a few people. I'm sure we can bring these round.
Some tissue in case you get chocolatey hands.